here to talk about building information modeling. But what is building information modeling? A lot of people are starting their journey and trying to understand what BIM is. And there are lots of different definitions. And we could give you a very standardized definition, a very scripted definition. But Shivang, have you got any ideas about how to describe building information modeling to the audience?
Yeah. So according to me, building information modeling is something which helps you to take informed decisions. We all take decisions, but sometimes we repent, we regret, or if not regret, we don't reach to our desired result with our decisions. But what if we can take informed decisions? So I'll give you an example. Let's say you are, I will spread my example in the span of 50 years. So let's say we are in 2024. Let's go back 50 years in the history, and I'm driving a car. Okay. I'm driving a car and I'm going from point A to point B. And at that time, life was so easy, so simple. There were no McDonald's on the way. So I will probably pack some food and I will start driving with my family, with my kid. And on the way, we can, just open our boxes and eat something. And then we can keep driving. And it was very clear that we want to go point A to point B. But in today's time, when we go on same kind of trip, let's say I go to my hometown, which is in Gujarat, in Saurashtra region, from Mumbai. And in that, I'll give you an example. 4 years back, we found a place which was a natural water stream in the monsoon. So in India, we have very good monsoon. And in Mumbai and parts around, we get good rain. So we found a natural water stream, which was very clean water because it was fresh monsoon water and it was coming from the mountains and the valley. And we like that place. Now imagine if you don't have a pin. Let's say you like that place 4 years back and you want to go there today. So let's understand that 50 years back, if you like that place and you want to go there again, there is no way. There is no way because the landscape is changing. You have not marked that area. So you had one option of painting a stone red and putting it there. That okay, this is my place. Next time when I come after a year or 2 years, I'll find this red stone and I'll stop my car here and then I'll go down and in the cliff, I will see natural water stream. That was 50 years back. Now, right now, even if you paint a stone red and put it there, probably within next 2 hours, that stone will not be there because somebody will move that stone or government will move that stone because you cannot just, benchmark any area with your own identity or your own requirement. So what do? We use navigation software and pin that location and save it for our future reference. Now, when we are back and we want to go there after a year, we can select that pin and we can have information about that pin, that this pin belongs to my natural water stream. Like in my navigation software, I have more than 300 such pins. I have pinned few areas in Budapest. I have pinned few areas in another remote, towns in Hungary where I have traveled with my friends. There is a town called Debrecen. Akash, correct me if I'm saying the right word, but there is a
It
town
is
called
Debrecen, yeah.
Debrecen. Yeah, and I have pinned a location there. So there is a square there where there is old church, and that square is amazing place. It's an open space in the town, and there is a very nice local made ice cream there. So if I want to go there again without my friend who took me there, how do I reach there? Obviously by opening the pin. And in the pin, I have added information. Please understand this value is the information that you have associated with that particular pin. Now imagine that you don't have this option of adding a pin or adding information. How difficult it will be to reach there. I have highlighted a place in Singapore where I get Indian food, vegetarian Indian food, like spicy, the way I like. And how do I go there again if there is no pin? So I have defined that pin to such an extent that I have added name of the restaurant owner who is from Delhi. So now if I want to go there, after a year or probably 6 months in Singapore, I can just click that pin. First, I'll get the location of that place. Second, I'll get number of the owner, because in Singapore, restaurant timings are very, very different from India. In India, restaurants open at 11 in the morning and they are on till 1 post midnight. In Singapore, it doesn't work that way. They are shut during the afternoon hours. So I can actually call the owner from that pin and I can ask him that, hey guy, are you still open? And I can still see on the, so I can have my contact, and in contact list, I can call him. But when I have him on the navigation system, I can actually calculate that where I am, how much time will I take to reach his restaurant, and call him from that pin and tell him that the navigation system is showing me this much time. So having this information in one place to function properly is what is one of the examples of how BIM works. We have worked with a client on BIM implementation and they have gone paperless, and their submission, their handover of the finishing of the project was iPad with the 3D model with all the information. They didn't give any drawing to the client. So the client was carrying iPad and then they were navigating in 3D and they were selecting, let's say, a chair, and it was coming that, imagine this analogy of pin on the navigation system. So they were selecting the chair, clicking on the info, and they were getting information like who made that chair, what was the production year and day, what is the warranty period, what is the material, what is the barcode, what is the price at that time when the project was under design and development and construction, and then who's the contact person, and that person's number is also mentioned there. So client and facility managers are managing that building with that information. So that is what BIM is for me. When you have your information about your building on your hand, on your palm, that is where BIM should lead you. While construction, while design, while construction, while handover, while operating and maintenance. Because the biggest cost and time involved in a building is for operation and maintenance. So, let's say if you consider a building of lifespan is 100 years, you'll get only 5 years for design and build. Rest 95 years, it's going to be operate and maintain. Similarly, for cost, only 5 to 10% will go in design and build. Rest 90% will be about operate and manage and maintain. So that is where BIM comes into picture. And that is why it is very important to switch to BIM so that you make informed decisions. You're not firing in the air. Without BIM, I feel today, without BIM, if we are designing such complex buildings, it's not a 50-year-old. It's not, we are not in a time span of 50 years back when I will travel from Mumbai to my hometown and there is nothing in between. Today, we have multiple places to stop, multiple things to do. Similarly, in building, it's not just architecture. It's not just, brick wall and slab. There are multiple systems. There are multiple services. So BIM for me is, when you have all these multiple complex kind of system that is working together, you need to make informed decision. So that's why, it's like having a navigation system where you are making informed decisions, where you are going to take halt in your 10-hour journey. And similarly, that is what you do with BIM. You make informed decisions that where you are going to work and how you are going to manage in your 100 years of time span of your building. So it's about making informed decisions. If I call it in a regular day-to-day thing, going BIM is making informed decisions. What do you think, Akash, about this?
I liked your idea about placing a pin somewhere, and actually, mentioning Debrecen and Budapest. Of course, we can make it even collaborative because you can share those pins with me, and then I can also visit these places and maybe even update your pin. If I find new tastes of ice creams, I can add it to your pin, or if unfortunately a restaurant goes out of business, I can also update you on that. So maybe that's how we can also make it collaborative and not just small BIM, as someone would call it, but make it a big BIM.
Please tell us the ice cream. Please tell us the ice cream store is still there, though.
Please tell us that they are still functioning.
Yeah, I have a similar analogy, I guess. At least it has to do something with the road, and not if not navigation. But I'm a Formula One fan. So when I started thinking about it, what BIM can mean, I was thinking about Formula One car, because eventually what they really want to do as well is enhancing performance and making sure that they are the fastest on track, and just the gaining 1 second means everything for them. So of course they do a lot of hard work goes into designing an F1 car, and they first they don't start running on the track with it, but they put it into a wind tunnel where they can do all the tests. And I think that's the similarity. So all the different teams building the car, they come together, all the engineers from the different departments, and they look at the data. Again, they can make informed decisions based on the data, and collaboratively decide how to further develop the car to make it even faster. They can do all the simulations as well. They can do real-time adjustments and run new tests and understanding how it affects performance. Because again, what they really want to do is making the car as fast as possible. So trying everything before finally finalizing the car and having a test go on the track and starting the races. So that's my analogy when it comes to information management and modeling.
I love that. Yeah, I'm a big Formula One fan as well. And yeah, the cross between, so Shivang said about informed decisions based on information in context, and then designing a Formula One car is more, it's the fancy software side of things, creating a 3D model, and not just the performance of a wind tunnel, but all sorts of simulations about how it will perform on track. And that digital representation of that physical object, and the real goal of having an improvement in real world performance based on some kind of digital model and digital understanding. Let me take you to an alternative explanation as well. The picture a family, and they want to build their dream home, and dad is an aspiring chef, so he wants all the gadgets in the kitchen and big worktops and lots of stoves and all the hookups for the gas. Mum is a real tech geek, and so she wants to make sure that all the outlets have got all the different USB and everything networked up. Jimmy, he's a gamer, so he wants to have like a big games room with an arcade in it. Susan, completely obsessed with movies, so she really wants to have an big movie theater inside, one outside, all integrated. And imagine if they just went ahead and started building. Imagine if they started digging the foundation before they even had any plans or any attempt at coordinating things. They probably hit a pipe in the ground. They probably end up with massive clashes between all of the really important things that people have on their lists. And the grand reveal would be, unveiling their dream home, but it wouldn't really be their dream home. It wouldn't work. There'd be a lot of problems with it. And so imagine that family, instead of just going ahead and building something, they start with 2D drawings, and they all draw up their designs individually, and then they come together and build it. And it would be an improvement, because at least they would have some kind of an understanding of what they wanted to do before they went and did it. But imagine one stage further, where they built a scaled model using all of the Lego bricks in their buckets in the playroom. And as they were building, Jimmy could say, hey, I really want small windows so that the light doesn't come in and reflect off all of the gaming surfaces. So I want a bit of a cave here. So I need this one to be smaller. And dad says, hey, I like the size and shape of those windows, but how about this color, and being able to swap it out for another color? And how about knowing exactly where that big stove is going to go, and whether they need to maybe have a big opening in order to be able to get the stove into the kitchen. All of these things, they're moving around in Lego bricks, and every time they make a change, they're starting to agree more and more and more. And then imagine if you were able to do that in the real world with the architect, the engineer, the contractors, all of the teams that are building in that process, designing and building a house or a building, an office building, a movie theater, a hospital, all of these really potentially complex buildings. And they're able to solve all of those problems by digitally building with Lego blocks. and making sure that the outcome is going to be coordinated and that it's going to be cost effective. It's going to be exactly what the teams are looking for, and the owner will be happy in the end. So imagine not starting without plans, not starting with just 2D plans, but starting with a digital representation of everything that's going to happen in the real world, so that they can make changes before they go and put it in place on site. How would that be? I'm sure that the family would have a much better dream home if they went through that workflow.
Yeah, true,
What do you
true,
think,
true.
Shivang?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, since you're saying about, about family, so I have another example. What happens before you actually start the family? Building your own house with your family is a very good example. But then how you actually start the family? So I can tell you that in India, we have, I have another example. We have lot of matrimonial sites. Now, I don't know how it works in your country. Do you have it or not? We never discussed it. But all these matrimonial sites are basically, you can imagine that they are kind of what you call this Tinder and Bumble and all those things. But the purpose is not to date. Purpose is to get married. So we call it, they are filtered, curated, in a sane world, God fearing, Trimble, I'm not Trimble, God fearing, this Bumble and Tinder kind of sites. So basically, let's say if someone is going on those matrimonial sites and they see just the picture of the opposite gender, they won't decide about getting married just by looking at the picture, right? It's a 2D flat thing. People would want to meet the opposite person in real, get to know them. More than that, before they even decide to meet them, they would want to see their hobbies, their ideologies, their what drives them, what is their passion, what are their thoughts about relationship, what are their thoughts about building a family. All these things are there, all these filters are there. So even in a situation where in India it is very, very different. Sometimes even relatives and parents also suggest you with whom you should get married. And not even suggesting, sometimes they even force you, push you that no, we tell you that this person is perfect for you, so you have to get married with this because we are a parent, so we know that we are thinking best for you, so you have to get married. So that is one aspect of getting married and building a family. Another aspect is people coming together and checking and knowing each other on these sites or social media. I mean, that from there it goes on and on. But imagine just by looking at the picture, someone decides that I want to get married to this person. How many pitfalls are there? Probably that person have not used their own picture in their profile, or they have used highly filtered picture from the app, or they have used AI to create some other version of themselves. Deep fake photos we are seeing. So there are a lot of pitfalls. Again, you're not making informed decision. But imagine now the next stage is you start reading the information in their bio. You start reading what are their hobbies, what are their ideas about life, what are their goals, what is their passion, what kind of thoughts that person has. Even that is not enough. Even that is This is small BIM for me. Just knowing that person from their profile and their bio is small BIM, what Akash just said. What is big BIM? Then you decide to meet that person, right? You decide to go out with that person. You decide to talk to that person. You decide to interact with that person. If you are doing this for your life, when you are going to spend it, why I don't understand why people don't do the same kind of informed decision making and big BIM and working with information when they are putting their sweat and blood. There are people out there who are clients who are saving money for their lifetime to have their own house. There are people out there who are doing construction as business, and they are looking at the output, they are looking at the results, they are looking at the ROIs. How can you just take all these decisions just on flat land? It's like deciding to marry someone just by looking at the photo on the matrimonial site. It doesn't make sense. To me, not doing BIM is like getting married to someone just by looking at their picture on matrimonial site. I mean, it used to, again, if we go 50 years back in history, it used to happen. You know, somebody, some relative will say that such and such person's son or daughter is at the age of getting married. And I am giving you guarantee that you get married and you will have amazing life with that person. So this person is best suited for your child. And then parents used to decide. I know you guys are surprised by this, but this used to happen in India. And parents used to get surprised. But life was not that complex. The way buildings were not that complex. Like, for example, in those days, we never had toilets attached to our bedrooms. Toilets were outside in the courtyard of the house. Now your toilets are attached. Similarly, in those days, it was very simple. Females used to take care of home and family and kids. I mean, I'm not saying there were no females working at that time also. There were females working at that time, and they were even involved in farming also. But then more or less, it was it was again a fixed kind of challenge. Let's say a female after her marriage working with her husband in farming, she is doing amazing hard work. She used to do more hard work, in fact. But then she was born in that kind of scenario where she is seeing her father working in the farms, her mother joining her father, and she was more or less aware about the challenges. Now come back to today's world. You're not aware about challenges. You're not aware about complexities. Every day throws a different challenge in front of you. What this makes you do is this makes you behave in a particular way to overcome your challenges. Now, when you are in a relationship, in a marriage kind of a situation, if your partner is not aware how you are going to deal with challenges, that person will not have informed decision, and you will have fights every evening going back home. Be it any gender, a man or a woman, you'll end up fighting where your intent is not to fight. Your intent is to build a good, long lasting relationship. Similarly, the intent of AEC professionals is to build long lasting, functional building. So we need to make informed decisions. We cannot just take a decision on looking at picture. That's like, looking at 3D render of a building and deciding that let's build this. It doesn't work that way. There are many aspects. There has to be informed decision. And when I use this word informed time and again, I know I'm being probably repetitive, but this is the core of BIM. The information. When you have information, you can make informed decisions. So to me, BIM is about making informed decisions. I'm not saying we will change our mind. We will probably not change our mind, but we'll be aware what's in store for us. We'll never be in the dark. We will never act like blindfolded and at midnight and shooting an arrow. It won't happen that way. You'll have your eyes open. Though you will have midnight because you can't judge what time what will happen, but your eyes will be open at least. That is called informed decision. And that is what is important for all the industries, and for AEC it is all the more important because we can never have real prototype. So we need to have a digital prototype which allows us to make informed decision. What are your views? I have used this informed decision a lot. Probably audience will be bored, but I always feel that life revolves around making informed decisions. See, everyone will have to make decisions. Even an animal have to make a decision. But that should be, humans make informed decisions. That is what is building information modeling.
Absolutely. If you're making decisions blindfolded and without all the information, you're going to make the wrong decision. So, yeah, having a process that uses technology to create this digital representation of a physical object with information. And I think that key is the description you made about the map and using a digital map with a pin and having information attached to it and being able to add to that information, change the information, and make decisions based on the information, based on your location. So it's information in context, and it's the 3D model that gives you the ability to understand information in context. This window might be a certain type, and if it's on this side of the building, the east side or the west side, then you'll know from a performance perspective how it will perform based on the solar patterns in that geography. So being able to understand more than just what that object is, you really can do a lot more with it. And the goal is to obviously improve real world performance. And in that workflow, we have to rely on a massive amount of collaboration between many, many different disciplines. We talk about lots of different analogies there. If you bring all those analogies back to the AEC space, it's the design teams, the engineers, the architects, the essentially the owner who is saying, this is what I want in my building, the whole delivery and construction team as well. And even the operation and the maintenance teams, if it was their information that was important, then bringing those teams on, collaborating early and coming to informed decisions, because as Shivang mentioned as well, these buildings are around for a long time. And in order to be able to minimize risks and cost, we need to identify and address those in the virtual world before they become a problem in the real world. So using analogies like that, the Lego analogy, building something using Lego blocks and finding problems before they become a problem when you build it in real life. The Formula One car, being able to understand performance using a digital twin of that actual Formula One car. So you don't have to race it around all of the different tracks around the world. You actually could do that in a wind tunnel. You could do that inside of a digital representation and understand and analyze it before you actually spend a lot of money on that. So all these different examples are really, really key to helping us convey the importance of building information modeling, and also stress that key part, which is the information. The I in BIM, the information, is really key, and having that in context with a lot of other parts of the building and a lot of other people and their disciplines and collaboration across those is the major benefit that occurs. Akash, any thoughts, any closing thoughts to share about any of those examples?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we heard so many good things about collaboration and iteration and decision making, informed decisions, and also heard about different industries that we maybe should look at how they are performing. And I just wanted to bring up one other example about software development. So we are using software on a daily basis. I'm pretty sure we all have friends and relatives who are somehow working in software development, and we hear stories for them how agile software development changed the things. And that's kind of in parallel with what we are doing in AEC, and maybe we should take a look at that, because what they are really doing is putting the applications, the software, really looking at what the customer needs. So they are turning it into a customer-centric experiment. They even have designers who understand really how the customer wants to operate a certain device or application. And so this customer-centric approach is then being followed with very short cycles of development, lots of small iterations, and always having all the cross-functional teams around the application, from the designers to the user experience designers, to the developers, to the architects, to the QA teams, to really make sure that they are really doing what the customer needs in the end, and that they are involving the customer on a regular basis. So instead of having to do a 1-year designing and development of an application just to find out that in the end this is not what the customer needed, they do this in a very short cycles, very small, repetitive or iterative cycles, and that's something that we should also be doing. I also heard a good term or a good word from Shivang, the blindfold. So traditional architecture is like driving with the blindfold on, just driving for, I don't know, an hour, and then taking it off and trying to find out where you are, and then navigating back yourself to the right path. Instead of that, if you are checking where you are and where you are heading to more regularly, the end result is going to be much better, of course, and it's going to be much more effective. You don't have to revert back for a long period of investment, of development, of designing, and so on and so on. So that's another analogy I wanted to bring up.
Absolutely, yeah. The iteration that you can do digitally versus if you developed everything and you went a lot further without knowing you're going in the wrong direction. I like that one as well. Yeah. Drive with a blindfold on, you're probably not going to be heading the right direction for very long, and course correction is needed. Shivang, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I feel that it's the time that the world starts taking BIM seriously, and not only, I mean, I know that there are countries where there are already BIM standards, and there is also ISO standards for BIM practices. I feel that my country also should start, the professionals should start having a look at ISO standards for BIM practices, because I keep hearing a lot about we are doing BIM, we are doing BIM, we BIM practice, we are doing LOD 500, we are doing LOD. So recently, the latest thing that I heard a month back is we are doing LOD 700. So I was surprised. I said, what is LOD 700 if you can explain? So that person told me, no, my team will explain it to you. What is LOD 700? So I mean, there are these ideas that LOD 500, 600, 700. Probably I feel that someday somebody will reach to LOD 1000 and 2000 and 5000, where in reality, I mean, spending more than 15 years with BIM, I have not heard LOD 600, 700, 800. But yeah, so these are these misconceptions. And I always strongly believe that half knowledge is dangerous than no knowledge. There is a lot of half knowledge happening. I would request everyone to start doing some research on what is ISO standard for BIM practices. What do they talk about? Do they talk about software at all? Because there is another misconception as this software is BIM and BIM is this software. So does the standards talk about softwares? Like a month back, I was in Singapore, and that I was for one of the conferences, but that triggered my inquisitiveness to do some research on Singapore BIM standards. And I think everyone will be surprised. Those who have not seen or read Singapore BIM standards will be surprised that Singapore BIM standards don't talk about softwares at all. Even the word IFC, it's the BIM standards of Singapore, is a 80 plus pages PDF document, and even the word IFC is used only twice. So a generic term like IFC, Industry Foundation Classes, which is used for data transfer between various softwares or applications or consultants, is also used only twice. So then I request everyone to just start reading about BIM standards, start reading about what is actual BIM, what is the definition, why it is not about software and it is about something else. That's why we gave all these analogies to make people understand that it is not about the software. It is about something else. It's a different picture altogether. When you see with bird's eye perspective, it's a different thing. Don't see BIM being in the we have this saying in our country that you're a frog in the well. Don't see BIM in your seclusion. Like, this is my BIM. There is no such term called my BIM. If it is BIM, it has to be open. If it is BIM, it has to follow some standards. If it is BIM, there are certain practices which you have to follow. There are some hygiene rules. So I would say that if you want to talk about BIM, you have to talk about hygiene of BIM, and you have to talk about deliverables of BIM, and you have to talk about standards of BIM. Without that, we are just talking in the air. We have just misconception that this is BIM, that is BIM. It's not my BIM or your BIM. It's our BIM. If it is not our BIM, it is not BIM at all. If we are not talking together with all the consultants about BIM, we are not talking about BIM. We are talking about our own thing. And then, I mean, it's a deep thing that everyone have to start reading or start understanding. What are the standards, from where they come, what are the needs for standards, why hygienic BIM is the biggest need of today's time. Yeah, so this is what I would want everyone to do who is watching this podcast, that start reading on BIM standards, start reading on hygienic BIM, and anchors are ISO standard for BIM practices. and you can also have a look at Singapore BIM standards. So these are just two anchor points where you can start your journey for understanding BIM. Yeah.
Yeah,
Akash,
absolutely.
you have something to add to this? Yeah.
But we
Clive.
should plug the fact that we're going to share all of the answers to this. We're going to talk about ISO 19650 standards. We're going to talk about workflows. We're going to talk about BIM management. We're going to talk about the simplicity that you can have, the results that you can get, and we're going to try and make it fun, lighthearted, and make your lives easier. If you're trying to implement BIM on projects, then follow this podcast. And yeah, we hope to take you along for a ride. If you've got some comments for us or something you want us to talk about, then definitely let us know about it. We look forward to sharing more.